Turn the microphone on. I've learned that a few times now. Hopefully, everything is going to work. Hopefully. Hey, it looks like it's working. Let's keep both these windows open. Hey, don't do that. Yeah, stay small. Hope you are doing well, because I'm doing well. I'm on location, and I don't know which camera to use. Do I use this camera? Do I use that camera? The possibilities are endless. It's been a while since I've seen you last, and I'm glad to be here. Let's see here. We've got camera A, or we've got camera B. I think camera B is going to do better. Yeah, stare right at you like this. I don't know if I move my laptop. Anyway, hello Instagram. Hello everybody everywhere else. It's Sean Shapiro from Toronto Police Traffic Services, and I am on location. Yes, I am at the, what is this place called? It's the Toronto Congress Center, but inside of the Congress Center, we are at the Drug Recognition and Enforcement Conference, and I'm doing all sorts of podcasting, but I wanted to make sure I took care of y'all and answered your traffic and police questions, at least for an hour. You know, the thing we do. It's weird doing it with a laptop. I have a whole bunch of cameras here, but they're all set up in different angles, and I don't know how I feel about that. If you are watching and you want to know how to join in on the conversation, well, the way to do it is by, watching on TikTok. It's going to go a little slow today. I didn't really notify anyone that I was doing this, so I don't have a moderator standing by, so it's going to go a little slower. We got YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter. Now, this show goes normally from 10 to 11, today from 11 till 12, and we'll make it available afterwards. Chase says he's even got the studio music when he's not in studio. This is high-end production. I got to tell you, if I had a camera available to share with you what's going on here, I think it's impressive. We have I basically gutted my studio this morning. Yeah, I took everything out and put it here, and now we're set up. Good morning, Tim Shallow. What's going on? He's we are taking you on the road. Does it look festive behind? I don't know. If you're watching on TikTok, welcome. Like I said, no moderator today. Maybe I can hang on for the folks watching here. I'll ask my wife if she's available. If you're available, please moderate now. She's miserable. Yeah, my wife is not feeling well. Under the weather. But if she's around and wants to help out, we would love to have the assistance. Interesting, I spoke to an officer who was presenting this morning, and they are traveling around basically he put it as boots on the ground information. So he's a copper. I think he did 18 years on the job, and he goes around talking about the concerns about drug trends, essentially. This is a drug recognition expert and enforcement group, and he was talking about all sorts of different drugs to be concerned about, and he had a message to share. And I got to sit down with him for a few minutes and talk about that. So I'm putting that together as a social media post. We'll post it up later on the channel. Yeah. What is Chase saying here? Oh. Is the MWS in police cars the same across Ontario, as in could TP officer log into an OPP one if ever needed? I don't think that would work. I don't think it would. I think it's very much an independent and very unique system. We have credentials that can confirm our identity, but it's a Toronto specific login. Yeah, I don't think it'll work anywhere else. Let's see here. He says, you doing AMSR? No, not that I'm aware of. Is there a sound here that is uniquely unique? All right. Let me pull up the question of questions is, where is the Vision Zero enforcement team today? That's a question that everybody wants to know, right? I didn't actually pull that up ahead of time. Oh, come on. Apparently I need to be in a different browser for that information. Let's open that up. Twitter. Stand by. This is a relaxed version of the show. Just telling you. All right. Hey, it's me. And we have a moderator. Okay, thank you to my wife who's jumping in as a moderator, who just texted me and said, I'm here. Okay. Oh, they got someone. We'll talk about that in a second. But Vision Zero is a dedicated group of officers. The Vision Zero enforcement team, I should say, is a dedicated group of officers who are trying to change driver behavior one ticket at a time, and they're doing that all over the streets of Toronto. Today, they are focusing their efforts on 12 Division and 55 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Weston, Mount Dennis, Rockcliffe, Smythe, the Beaches, Riverdale, Danforth, East York, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play, and of course deserve to be safe. The message that I saw just before was posted 2 hours ago to our traffic services Twitter account. The Vision Zero enforcement team says, not a good look. Tucked behind the driver's ear when stopped for speeding was a marijuana cigarette, a joint, and the driver was charged with speeding and Cannabis Control Act offenses. Cannabis is permitted in a motor vehicle, but only under very they said certain circumstances, very specific circumstances. You can't have it readily available to the driver. That would be no. That would be a hard no, as Sergeant Campbell would say. Always find it interesting what people choose to do when they drive. They get behind the wheel of a car and do the darndest things. We have, Kayla says, sending messages to my wife, wishing her a speedy recovery from her not feeling so great today. Cool. All right. We got a bunch of people in the chat. What is this? Habadabdab? No, Habadad-dab. I'm making a mess of that, and that's intentional, I'm sure, based on the way it is written. But here's the question. Where can you ride a Suron if they don't want them on trails or roads? Surons are sold as e-bikes in many places. They're electric motorcycles. They cannot be ridden on any city street, sidewalk, or park, which means private property. You got a farm, you got a private property piece of grass on your lawn, that's where you can do it. That's the only place you can do it. In Ontario, anyway. And mind you, you might be able to get them plated for off-road use on certain trails, but you certainly can't use them on the road. What is this? Do I have to stop if I hit a random cat on the street? Depends on what you call a cat. You talking about a cat being a person? Like he was a cool cat. I don't know, that's not common terminology anymore. But if you strike an animal, you may not even know it. Technically, it's not a collision per se. I don't think hitting a cat or rodent. Cats aren't rodents. I don't know if there's an obligation. You'd have to know that you hit it. And if you hit something, getting out and checking it out is obviously going to be a good idea. And then leaving a body in the road, that sounds like a bad idea. But, I don't know if there's anything that will require you to report that. Oddly enough, I think it's the right thing to do is notify, but I don't think there's any law about it. I'm gonna have to double check and find out, because random cats in the road, I guess these things happen. Now, here's a question about exhaust laws. Are they going to get more strict? Well, they are pretty strict. The question is, are they being enforced to the same level as the strictness? You know what? We always focus on the stuff that leads to serious injury and death on our roads. In this, for us, that's going to be speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Are we going to focus on anything else? Yeah, we deal with all sorts of things. And the exhaust, the noise, Project Noisemaker, we're always interested in making sure that communities aren't being abused. And it is abuse. When you go through, little flies all over here, that noise disturbs and disrupts the community that you're passing through. So yeah, the community wants it to be dealt with. They want nothing to do with these cars. So oddly enough, we will probably be seeing more enforcement. Now, depending on where you sit on that, whether you want more enforcement or less enforcement, will determine whether or not you have a good day or bad day based on the information I've just shared. How much can I customize the exterior of my car? Well, what do you mean? Customization is really such a vague descriptor. As long as what you're doing is legal, the modifications that you're making are legal, then you should be fine. You change the color, you change the shape, within reasons. There's maximum widths and lengths and clearances to the road. As long as they're, at the end of the day, after you've made modifications, you still have a legal car, you're okay. What is the tint allowance? It depends on how much you can afford. Your allowance, get it? The tint allowance, So, according to the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide, no more than 30% light blockage can be, on the windows left and right of the driver, and the windshield can have nothing if the vehicle is 2017 or newer. But let's talk about the reality of things. If you have tinted windows and a police officer or the public can't see in, I guess it's mostly the police officer because, well, you can't block the standard is for everybody, but the enforcement's coming from a police officer. So if we can't see him, we can't identify the driver, we can't see if you're wearing your seatbelt, drinking alcohol, using your phone, that sort of thing, it's too dark. And as a result, you can see yourself being charged out of the HTA for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle through color or reflective tint. Not legal. Not okay. Oh, by the way, $110 for that in terms of the HTA offense for obscure interior. So the comment is, and I'm going to make this bigger because my eyes don't like this tiny text. Hitting a cat. I watched a transit bus do that. It didn't stop. Left an impact as I was 6 at the time on my way to school. And Kayla was sure that the driver saw the cat. That's unfortunate. I would hope that someone would stop. But, what do? It's not, there's, if it's property, or I guess you could say that the cat is property. I don't know. I still got to phone a friend. Is it illegal to erase parking enforcement chalk from tires? It's not illegal. It is not illegal to erase the parking enforcement chalk from tires. Are clear taillights legal in Ontario? The color of the bulb is the right color. It's all about whether or not you are projecting the appropriate color. So if you are projecting red light, then it wouldn't be illegal. I don't think you should modify things that way. I think safety equipment should be left the way the manufacturer approved it, and the government approved the manufacturer's version of it. But do you have to keep it the way it is? As long as it's meeting the requirements of the HTA. And red light being projected because of a red bulb would do that. Do officers get to choose their call sign, or are they assigned by the department? It is entirely different. So call signs in Toronto are generally based on where you're being assigned that day. It could change day to day. So if you are going to 12 Division, you are going to be a 12 Division call sign. If you are going to be a 14 Division car, you're going to be a 14 Division call sign. As a motor squad officer, my call sign was Highway Motor 62, and I was always Highway Motor 62. Is that Highway Motor 62? I haven't said it in so long. I think so. Highway Motor 19. That was Andrew Hong's call sign, always his call sign. And yeah, it doesn't change. If you catch a traffic infraction on your dash cam, can you submit it to the police in Brent? Oh, that's horrible noise. Thank you for dragging your stuff across the floor. Lots of people, vendors in this area. The deal is that you can submit it, and in the event that we can identify someone based on that information, because it is all about whether or not you can supply us date, time, location, vehicle, and driver. Oh. So yes. Does TPS still use patrol area numbers? They did. I haven't done any frontline stuff in a while. So it used to be the division, and the second half was the patrol area, and that would be your call sign. Does my dog legally require a harness or seatbelt when she is in the car? Legally, no. Ideally, it's a safety thing for both you and the dog. So tethering your vehicle, your dog to the vehicle, in the vehicle with a tether harness, or putting them in or putting them in a crate in the back, it prevents them from becoming a projectile in the event of a collision. So safer for them, safer for everybody involved. You don't want to be, sending your fur missile out the front window in a bad way. Fur missiles and the police, that's okay. They're going after bad guy. We launch them. This is very different. You don't want to launch your pet. You don't want them hitting you either. Who patrols the water? Well, we have Toronto Harbor. We take care of that. Water is big, so it depends on the jurisdiction of the area being patrolled. But there are areas that are OPP and there are areas that are Toronto. Michael wants to know, morning, when was the last live? When was last live? Last live was Friday? Friday at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then we jumped in here at 11 a.m. today to do this live thing that we do. It's been a few days. So we'll be doing this until 11 o'clock or until 12, and then we will continue with our day. We're actually doing a lot of podcasting from here, but we'll be answering your traffic and police questions until noon. Is it illegal to sip coffee while driving? Sipping coffee, not bad. Not illegal to sip coffee. Unless, of course, it distracts and it detracts from your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle. That's a problem. Okay, we got questions about education, and that allows me to segue into the fact that we're hiring. If you were interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, I would draw your attention to this magical website. Here we go. tps.ca/careers. If you go there, you'll be shown all of the answers to any question you might have about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, even if that is as a civilian member or as a parking enforcement member. There's more to policing than policing, if that makes any sense at all. Police officers are one job, and that is a great job, and I love this job, and other people may want to join this job. But at the end of the day, we have parking enforcement officers, special constables, we have clerks and IT folks, and they're all part of the process of making this city work, and without them, we'd be lost. So thank you to all those who do those jobs. We appreciate you. You don't get enough kudos, but you help us make everything we do possible. Okay, jumping back into chat. Did you volunteer for this position? Interesting question. I was hit by a car. So this position didn't exist really, not in the form that it is today. I was involved in a motor vehicle collision while on duty as a motor squad officer on a police Harley-Davidson. I was returning to the station when someone pulled out of a parking lot and struck me. That put me in a position where I couldn't go out on the road, couldn't do what I'd be normally doing, couldn't conduct duties as a police officer the way I was used to, and I had to find other things to do. I ended up working for a while supporting the media relations sergeant, because that's who was doing all the media stuff, and I would do all the back end stuff, the graphic arts, the video camera holding, and so on. And then I went to the headquarters for a while, came back from headquarters and was a different sergeant, and through that changing of the guards, I got an opportunity to be in front of the camera a little bit, and it just took off from there. We expanded onto new social media platforms, so we created this position that I'm doing based out of partially by accident, by the collision I was in, and because I had a bunch of skills and abilities that lended towards being able to do this job. So, yeah, in a way I volunteered because I kept on pushing the envelope and doing new things, but I would prefer not to have been hit by a car, and riding a motorcycle would be great today. It's a beautiful day. Let's see here. Oh, I missed a couple of questions. Is a police officer able to see if the person they're pulling over has a firearms license? Yes, we can do that check. The big question is, do we do that check for every person? And even a bigger question is, are we concerned about legal firearms owners? Usually the people that we would check who have guns don't have a legal firearms license. Thus, they don't have a firearms license. Thus, checking it would mean nothing. We don't rely on whether they have a license or not to find out if they're safe. We assume that everybody is armed. We assume that everybody has, is a level of risk, because if we don't, we put ourselves at risk, and that's not okay. We have to assume the worst case scenario until we can confirm that we're actually safe. And that's why they say that traffic stops are the most dangerous thing a police officer can do, because you're dealing with the unknown, the absolute unknown. Chase, what's the Chase question? Oh, okay. If a rock flies up from a car and damages my windshield, should you try and signal at them to pull over and exchange information? Damages likely under $2,000. Would police do anything if you got the plate? So technically, the information is like if you had an 18-wheeler, a dump truck, something that was throwing their load, what they have in the back of the truck out and causing damage is one thing. A rock chip being tossed up by a tire, technically, would it be their fault? Yeah, should they have had mud guards? At the end of the day, that's not really a police report, in my opinion. It's not a collision. It is damage as a result of the movement of a motor vehicle, but I think you'd be wasting your time. It's not a reportable collision at very least. And could you, provide the information? How are you going to get the person to believe that it was them that caused that rock to fly up? I think it would be very circumstantial. Unless you had a super high resolution dash camera that showed the rock flying up from their tire, I don't know. And I'm speculating here because I've never been called for anything like this, and I really don't know whether or not this would trigger a report. I'd love to ask Sergeant Campbell about it. We'll have to come back and do that when we're back in the studio on Friday. We'll have to leave this one for him. Does Canada have those AI plate readers? AI plate readers? We have automatic license plate readers, ALPRs, and those are they're active, and they're always searching for different types of offenders and violations. So yeah, we do have them. They're permissive. They're permitted to be used, and we do use them. TPS has a Marine unit. How big would the area be? Could we meet a Marine member? Actually, a former Marine member, Sergeant Melissa Kulik, who's actually here at the conference right now, and we can certainly talk about get her on the air to talk about things. Not today because she's at the conference, but maybe next week talk about that. So I need insurance on my parents' car to drive it. Your parents' car must be insured to drive it. Any vehicle operating on the roads in Ontario has to be insured. If you live with the person who owns the vehicle, need to often be listed as a secondary driver. And if you are borrowing a vehicle occasionally and you don't live with them, you may not require that. It's really up to the contract requirements of the individual insurance company as to how they handle vehicles being used by others. But if you are a licensed operator, a licensed driver, yeah. Oh, apparently my mic is a little low. Hopefully this is a little better. Is it better? Let me know. But I appreciate the feedback. Apparently I'm being quiet. It's not a regular mic. It's also a very large, echoey area. Maybe I'll try and talk right into the mic. Anyway. So this is, which question is this? Michael says, for Chase's question, I thought you can file a police report for that because cop didn't see it. Oh, can't file a police report for that. So you can file a police report for just about anything, but whether or not it has any teeth and does anything, like reports for report's sake don't mean anything. I say that because you can file a report and no action would be taken just because you file it. Okay. Will a red light camera... Oh, I just updated. 2 cars, where is it? Will a red light camera issue ticket only for running a red, or will it issue if turning right on red? So here's the thing. Turning right on red after you've come to a stop means you stopped for the red light, and then you proceeded to make a turn when legally permitted to do so. If you do it without stopping, you've run the red, even though you're turning. I don't understand why so many people are confused about whether or not you have to come to a stop before making a right turn. You most definitely have to stop before turning right on a red light. And yet I watch 90% of the vehicles not stop, and I would love to issue every one of them a ticket. Okay. No, stop updating. Come on a second here. As soon as I go to press a button, that's what... Okay, I'll answer this one because I accidentally pressed it. Do you prefer if a motorcyclist stay on their bike or get off get off the bike at a traffic stop? So generally speaking, I prefer if a motorcyclist would stop, whether they get on or off the bike, I don't care. Take off your helmet. Show that you're intending to stay as opposed to run. Leaving your helmet on creates an issue for identity, but it also means you might be, willing to drop a gear and disappear. Not okay. So I'd much rather you turn off the bike at very least and take off your helmet. Okay, scrolling down. I think I scrolled back too far. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, currently on location at the Drug Recognition and Enforcement Conference in Toronto. And behind the camera, they're setting up the lunch service. It looks like sandwiches, wraps maybe. Okay. Motorcycle questions, turning on double line questions. How many cruisers have the automatic plate readers in Toronto? Wouldn't you like to? Actually, I think every police car is going to be getting them. I think every single police car in the province of Ontario will eventually have them. Just a matter of when they get them. Can you be charged with stunt driving or underage driver on a motorcycle on private property? Stunt driving, yes. Underage driver on private property, no. So the offense for driving without a license is not enforceable on private property. However, stunt driving is, and there's no age limit. So whether you were an adult, a child, ever licensed or never licensed, it doesn't change a thing. Stunt driving, we can charge you. Dangerous driving, we can charge you. But the driving under the age or without a license is not something we can charge you on private property for. Do I need a helmet for rental bikes? I saw that one earlier, and I think it's a really good question. So the City of Toronto rents bicycles and electric e-bikes. Both are applicable to the helmet laws. So if you're renting it and you're under the age of 18 as a pedal bike user, you're required to wear a helmet under the law. If you are riding an e-bike that you rent, then you're obligated at any age to wear a helmet. Michael says, free sandwiches and wraps. Yeah, I imagine that. Well, I don't think it's free in terms of somebody paid for it. Have you ever had someone stop and then drive off when you were walking up to the car? Yes. And then the conversation that ensued afterwards involved more charges. Stephen Bell says, good morning. Sorry I'm late. Oh, saw a taxi with small children in the back. Are they still required to have car seats or boosters? Taxis, not rideshare, not Ubers, not Lyft, but taxis and buses are exempt, and that means they don't require them. They cannot, or they do not require them, I should say. Is it illegal to mark police locations on Waze? No, it's not. Actually, it's not a bad thing. I know it's a typo, but I totally thought it was a legit question, which confused me. Could I listen to your shoe while driving? You can listen to the show while driving if you're not making the screen visible. So if you have YouTube Pro, you can listen to it with the screen turned off. Isn't it called Pro? The subscription version, which I don't have. If you want to listen to the replay, you can go to askatrafficcop.trafficcop.ca, and that'll take you to yesterday's show or the last published show, which you can download to your phone on the podcast app, synchronized so you don't burn your data, and you can listen to that legally. Good question, so. Question or statement from Chase. I haven't seen any police blitzes for plate covers, so do you know if the automated license plate readers are good at seeing through dark tinted covers? So expect to have blitzes. Expect to have blitzes on these things. We are certainly writing more tickets for these offenses every day. Is it the is it the focus of our activities? No. Will we see more and more enforcement of it as we are using ALPRs more? They obscure plates. We need to be able to read plates. And yeah, that's the thing. Okay, let me scroll back. I don't want to leave these too far in the back. In the back. Got that. Okay. Flagging these so I can put them on the screen. Solid yellow question. Hitch left on a truck question. Consistently obscuring plate question. Okay. If you're lending your vehicle to somebody. On a red light camera. Okay, we'll cover that. Still laughing about the shoe question. Okay. All right. Question here. All right. And Get Smart, listening to your shoe would be a handheld communication device. Absolutely. Get Smart was fantastic. The original. The remakes were, Inspector Gadget is a derivative, I think. Let's see here. All right, let's go to the 13-pin questions. And nothing coming in on the Instagram. So, can a motorcycle drive in the HOB lane on the 400? You mean the HOV, Victor lane? Yes, you can. 400 series highways allow for motorcycles to drive solo on that lane or in that lane. Turning on a double line. Well, you can cross a double line legally. They're there to tell you that it's a bad idea. But can you do it? Yes, you can. In Ontario. Other provinces would have tickets for that. Most other provinces were one that doesn't. Now, I will say that you can cross. You can't be charged for crossing. But if you cause a collision by way of your choices, You're still responsible for them. Okay. Hi, Sean. I have an older model car and was hoping to install a rear view mirror reverse camera unit. Is that legal? I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the comment. That was a sidebar for me. You can put rear view mirror reverse camera unit. So as long as it's not obscuring your view, as long as you're not obstructing your license plate by putting the camera module, then I think it's a great thing to put in. You know, it's going to make you a safer driver, or at least backer upper. I'm assuming it's for backup purposes only, but yeah. Can the public attend the conference? I believe this one is only for police. I did not register for it because I am a guest as a podcaster, cop, person, live streamer, not actually attending the conference. You have to be a drug recognition expert, a breath technician kind of person to come here. That's what it is. It's very noisy here. And this is a microphone that should be isolating most of the sound away, and it still stinks. Because I made it louder so you could hear me, because apparently I was too quiet. And this is an excessive amount of noise. Anyway, my apologies in advance. So Michael wants to know, different Michael wants to know, police can lay a okay, you were answering a question. Michael H was answering Michael L's question. Because Michaels are awesome. What does a solid yellow or orange line on the road mean compared to a white line? So amber or orange, true orange, is probably temporary construction lines. Really, yellow or white lines are the primary colors for, well, it's not primary colors because anyway, the two colors most commonly used. White means that the traffic on the other side of the white line is going in the same direction as you. If it's yellow, it means the traffic on the other side of the yellow line is coming at you, the opposite direction. You should avoid those people. Can I get a ticket for leaving a trailer hitch in my trailer? So it's leaving the tongue and ball on the in the receiver. So if it's not against the law. Now, we often talk about the fact that it could lead to having more damage to your vehicle because it would be distributing weight impact directly to the frame of your vehicle as opposed to allowing the crumple zones to crumple. And that means it might change the dynamics of your collision. It could be less safe. It could result in damage to your frame, which would, be more serious. And if your insurance company looks at that and says, hey, why'd you do that? You may not have an answer. Question from Instagram from Dom Paule. If I'm at a red light and an emergency service vehicle comes up behind me, lights and sirens, am I allowed to run the red light to let them through? The answer is no, you're not. You have no authority under the HTA to go through a red light. The only time you can cross through or at least cross or drive past the stop line when a red light is showing is when you're making a right turn on red when it's safe to do so, assuming it's not prohibited in an intersection. As a police officer, fire, engine operator, fire person, ambulance driver, they all know this, and no one's expecting you to go through. In fact, most will turn off their sirens and wait patiently. They'll shut it down. Truthfully, if they were approaching an intersection and saw that it was red and it was a blocked up one, we would just go into oncoming traffic. The only time this really becomes an issue is if they weren't paying attention or the call came in when they were already behind you and they were already gridlocked in. Anyway, we'll wait. 30 seconds is not going to change the day, but sending you through an intersection to get smoked and we would be responsible for it, not going to happen. All right. If someone consistently obscures their plate for 407 tolls or red light speed cameras, does that ever get sent over to the police to be investigated? If someone's obscuring their plates, we won't know who they are to send, and that's the whole problem. So we try and get it at its source before they're caught not getting caught, because again they'd have no information. But yeah, when there are specific tickets for toll lanes and then the regular ticket for everything else. I'd like to see everyone who has those instantly get all of those tickets. There's no excuse for having this crap. There's no reason at all. If you're lending your vehicle, does the person have to be 25 years old? That's up to you. That's between you and your insurance companies. There might be a specific line that says no one can drive the vehicle unless they're 25, which means that legally you can lend it to somebody who's under 25, but your insurance may not cover you in the event of a collision. But they're legally permitted to drive the car. The car is insured for liability, but they would deny you for any claims. And that's just a bad idea. But know what your rules are from the private organization, the private contract that you've entered into with your insurance provider. Because it doesn't matter. Like that, they're two separate things. One is the law, one is your agreement. Okay, red light camera question. On a red light camera, if your front tires are in front of the stop line but you stay, what happens? Well, technically, you've failed to stop for a red light at the right place. Would they charge you? I don't know. You've broken the law. You're in the intersection. And that is, I don't know if they would write the ticket for that. So good question. How do we stop impaired? Obviously, education doesn't work. Do we need harsher penalties? I think we need more education, and we need much harsher penalties. You know, if you look at the posts that we put up, my colleague, Scott puts up a regular post every Monday, and I take his post and make it into a video every Friday. And that post is telling you how many people were arrested on the weekend. I think we had 23 or 25 last weekend. Not okay. Up from the 17 that we had each of the previous 2 weekends. Way too many. And one of them was the third time they'd been convicted or third time they'd been arrested in 6 months. One person, unfortunately, rules keep honest people honest. And the people who are going to ignore the rules, well, you have to do something really serious to change their behavior, like possibly put them in jail and not let them out. I don't know. That's just me throwing ideas out there. How do you prevent them? Like, we have so many unlicensed drivers who drive, uninsured drivers who drive, not just the first time, but they're always going to do that. It doesn't matter what you do to them. So it's at a certain point, I think the only way to stop them from doing it is to actually not let them out. But that's not the police version. That's just me telling you, like, I don't know. I don't know any other solution. How do we start? That's the one. I just selected the same question. Okay. Can we drive motorcycles or electric motorcycles? 2 people. Do you mean, like, can you carry a passenger? If it's designed to carry a passenger, then yes. Now, I've yet to be able to confirm from the perspective of the courts whether someone, if all people have to be 16 on an e-bike or if the passenger can be under 16. Because the way it's written, it says that in order to ride on a e-bike, you must be 16. It doesn't say operate, it says ride, I think. Which would lead me to believe that no one can be on an e-bike, regardless of their age, unless they're 16 or older. Motorcycles, the passenger can be under 16 as long as their feet can touch the foot pegs. I recently saw a motorcycle ride by, and it had a passenger whose feet were dangling because they were too tiny. They were itty bitty kids, and that's not legal nor safe. Okay. Scrolling back, a whole bunch of questions just came through. Stephen Bell is having difficulty coming to grips with the fact that the law in Ontario is all of Ontario and the same in London, Ontario. Okay. Questions? Michael L. says, part 1 of 2. Okay, I'm confused because I've had it happen where I'm in the center lane and an emergency vehicle comes behind me with its lights on, but I can't make a turn on red from center line. I can legally proceed before green, or do I just sit there? You just sit there and block. You cannot, you're in the center lane. You definitely can't make a right turn legally. There's nowhere for you to go. They just have to, they either have to go into oncoming traffic to get around you, or wait until you have the ability to get out of their way legally. What is a glazed window versus tinted? I'm not familiar with glazed windows. Any coating or at all that changes the amount of light or the color of the light that comes through is a coating. So any coating, I don't know what glazed is. The question is, are blacks targeted by police? Black cars, green cars? You're asking if race has anything to do with it? I've never been able to identify the race of a driver. At 500 yards when I'm taking a laser speed measurement device to the vehicle. I've never stopped anybody based on the color of their skin, their ethnicity, nothing. I look for violators. Violators are the only people I pull over. If you're not violating, I got nothing to talk to you about. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. No. I don't believe that has anything to do with anything, but I'm sure that people's individual experiences may differ, and it may feel as though they're being targeted. I have friends that are black who say that driving while black is a different environment. I cannot comment on it. I've never been anything than what I am, so I've never received any treatment. Although I will say this: once upon a time, I had a Mustang that was in my mother's name, and I got pulled over repeatedly because I was in a Mustang, and they wanted to make sure that I wasn't a car thief. Why? Because I was a dude driving a vehicle that was registered to a woman, so they wanted to make sure that I was legally in possession of that vehicle. You know, they were suspicious. As a young person driving a Mustang, is that reasonable? I don't know. It sucked. Bothered me. I get it. So was I being targeted? Maybe. Or was the car being targeted, or was I being targeted? Anyway, long time ago. And in retrospect, I understand the thought, like, ooh, something fishy here. Did it really change my life? No. Okay. Do I find that most impaired operation charges are for alcohol or are drugs more? Drugs are more common now, but I think the vast majority is still alcohol. Is it legal not to let someone into a freeway when they're entering it? You don't have to let people in. It's a courtesy thing. But you can't prevent someone. And I know it sounds like the same thing said differently, but it's not. If there's space, they can get in. If there's no space, you don't have to make space. But if there's space and you accelerate to block them, that's stunt driving. Okay. Do I know if underglow is legal in Newfoundland? I have no idea. What is this? Oh, interesting. Douglas Allen says, have you listened to the Game of Crimes podcast? They've had a couple of shows with detectives as guests, TPS detectives. I've never heard of it, but I will check it out. Game of Crimes. I have so many podcasts I listen to. I don't have time in my life for more, and I listen to audiobooks and podcasts, and I need more time. I need more hours in a day is what I need. Is it illegal to go to the highway on-ramp, turns into zipper merge, to skip the line? So do you mean get off the road to get back on the road? It's actually not illegal. It's gross in terms of you're being, like, you're getting 10 car lengths ahead of everybody else, and you're being I'm trying to think of a funny way of saying something really rude, but yeah. You're being a dink? I don't know. It's something I used to say on the playground. It's not nice. You're doing no benefit at all. If you cross the bullnose, though, if you drive off the roadway at any point, it is illegal, and we're looking for that. Okay. If you're going the speed limit on a fast lane, but you're holding up a line, is that fine? No. And it's contradictory. Slower traffic needs to stay to the right. Faster traffic can't exceed the posted speed limit. So is it right? Really, you should be able to go the speed limit in the left lane all day long. And everyone who wants to go faster should take a pill, a legal one for a headache. There's no lawful authority to go over the speed limit. So really, are you doing anything illegal by being in the passing lane at the speed limit? No. Would I charge someone for being in that lane at the speed limit? No. But there are people who will, and there are laws that say slower moving traffic, stay to the right. The problem is the idiots who choose to speed make it unsafe because they choose to then pass the slow traffic that's going the speed limit, the legal limit. They do that by going to the right. They then make the roads even less safe. But what we need is automated enforcement that will catch everyone who goes 1 kilometer over, and thus no one will go 1 kilometer over, and then you can sit at the speed limit in the left lane all day long. That's what should happen. That no one wants to, Oh, knocked all my cameras around. Yeah, we've got a big problem. We've got a problem because people think they're allowed to speed because they don't get stopped nearly enough. So we should stop people a lot more. All it means is we're going to get to the point that we charge a lot more people for speeding. And it's going to be because the flagrant disregard for the law. The less, if you can't manage yourself, we're going to have to get to the point where we manage everything for you. And then people will complain even more. Okay. Can an automated plate readers tell if you have an insurance? So we can check with the Ministry of Transportation to see if you have current insurance. And is it current to the second? No. It's like the last 10 or 15 days old information, which means we're going to still check your information when we pull you over. It might flag you. I've not used the LPR system, so I don't know if it does it automatically or if it has to be a manual check. But generally speaking, we can look to see if there's a current record. But I'm going to check independently. I'm going to call the insurance company and validate whether or not your insurance policy is valid, regardless of what you tell me. I have 3 years to lay that charge. If I find out a month after I pull you over, when I have spare time and I check all my plates, I'm going to check to see if you have insurance. And I'll come to your door and I'll lay the charges, or I'll have a local officer knock on your door and lay the charges on my behalf. So no insurance, I can get you for 3 years after the date that I stopped you. Pretty cool. Can police do anything about insurance scams where people have Alberta, BC plates? Yes. If you're living in Toronto or Ontario and you have a BC or Alberta plate or any other plate, you are obligated to change that plate within 30 days of becoming a resident. And if we get you, we start the investigation there, and that usually looks like insurance fraud. But that's farther down the road. Game of crimes. I gotta remember that. Oh. I don't know if Michael's talking to Michael. There's two Michaels. Okay. We talked about this. Is it legal not to let someone into a free... No, we covered that. So Michael H. and Michael L. are totally having a conversation, which is cool. If I call 911 while driving, let's talk about that. Not hands-free to report something, but a cop sees me, will I get a ticket? You might get stopped, but the truth is that there's an exemption. If you're calling 911 for an emergency, you're allowed to use your phone without hands-free. Okay, we talked about that. Should I cross the center line or wait behind with siren and disco lights off? Oh, they should. Yes, that's right. So this is back to this whole conversation at the intersection. We should be planning ahead. As professional police and emergency drivers, yes, we should be planning. Okay. The question is, can you run a red light if it's a medical emergency and safe to do so? Legally, no. Do you know, if you're having a medical emergency, pull over, call 911, because your medical emergency might escalate and you might end up losing control and hurting somebody. Can you drive or ride a four-wheeler on roads in Ontario? It depends on the roads. Okay. Interesting question. If the tinted taillights, if I tint my taillights but install brighter bulbs, would that be illegal? The lux output doesn't change. I've had people talk about this before, and technically the minimum requirements of being discernible at 150 meters might be, at measure. It might work. Is it a good idea? No. I would still not mess with it. I mean, how badly do you need to look cool? Little fly pissing me off. Okay. I got a flash. Where'd I go? Okay, well, I look for that. I get 6 months driver suspended. What do I have to do? If you got a 6-month suspension, I don't know why. You have to apply at the end of that term to have it reinstated. One fly bugging me. That's why they call it bug, right? Ooh. Okay, well, I had a cookie. It landed on my cookie. I had a coffee. I understand what horses do now. They just constantly wave. Well, they wag. I got a flash from one of the street side cameras, but was 57 and a 50. Will I get a ticket? That might be a ticket for you. It really depends on the jurisdiction. They set their own things. It has nothing to do with the police service. I don't know what the percentage over would be to trigger. 7 seems reasonable, though. Like, reasonable to give you a ticket. If my dad got a parking ticket, but the plate number... If my dad got a parking ticket, but the plate number, the police put on was wrong, what does he do? You can go to court, and they'll probably just amend it because they have a picture of the ticket, right? They have a picture of the plate. They could throw it out, but likely they'd amend it. Let's see here. Thank you, Akilo. Says, stop spamming. Okay. Question, if I have green lights in the front of my truck, are they sold? What is this? I have green lights in the front of my truck. They are sold green. Are they still legal to run? You cannot project green lights forward. I don't know where your green lights are mounted or what kind of green lights. You can't have headlights that are anything other than yellow or amber. Sorry, yellow or white. Amber or white. Can you get a ticket for 10 kilometers over the posted speed limit? Yeah. You're speeding if you are going 1 kilometer over the posted speed limit. The dollar amount changes when you go to 10 kilometers, but it's all against the law. With only 4 minutes to go. How was the cookie before the fly landed on it? It was a good cookie. They had like oatmeal raisin with that hint of cinnamon. They were it was soft but not too soft. Yeah. Excuse me. The coughing's starting, so I've apparently been talking too long. Is it legal to carry bear spray for safety? If you're in the woods and it's legal to be carried for bears, bear spray for bears, animal deterrent, not human, not for using as humans. Let's see here. Oh, Akela was waiting to have breakfast until I stopped talking. I appreciate that. All right, what's this? Trying to scroll through to find what? Oh, wow, Joker really was spamming. Can you cross, what's this? Can you cross walking at an intersection where the signal hand is solid orange if it's safe to do so? Solid orange means don't walk. Could you be ticketed for crossing against a signalized intersection? Yes, you could. I'm definitely checking out this podcast. Very, very cool. Wasn't there a law that left lane was for passing? Yes. However, well, first of all, it's not passing. It's slower moving traffic, stay to the right. But you're not allowed to exceed the posted speed limit while you are passing. If 100 is the limit, the fastest you can go to pass is 100. So if you're doing 100, why should anyone be passing you? It's against the law to go faster. And that's where the conundrum is. You cannot have one law that supersedes the law of another. So if you're going faster, you're breaking the law. I will ticket the person who's going faster, not the person who's doing the speed limit in the left lane, because they might be passing somebody who's doing 90 or 80 in another lane. And that would be the appropriate way to pass. You pass people going below the posted speed limit. The limit is the limit. It's not the minimum. How can I dispute a ticket? Well, there's instructions in the back. You have 3 options when you get most tickets, HDA tickets. You have the option of paying it. You have the option of having a first appearance, or you have the option of taking it to trial. And you choose that, you file it. Will you pull me over if I went 5 kilometers over? It depends on where. If you are on a side road, if you are on a road that is 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 5 kilometers over, it's worthy of a discussion. If you're on a highway, 5 kilometers not worth my time. Mostly because there's people going way faster. But I do think we should change. I really think what should happen is that we should pull everybody over and have a discussion. And once in a while, we should give a ticket to the person who's doing 5 over, because that person will tell a friend who will tell 5 more friends. And then people might actually slow down. Do police still board TTC patrol distracted driving? On occasion we do. It's not the most common. Usually during a blitz do we do things like that. We don't generally do that. But I think it's great. It's a great way to get a different perspective into vehicles. Hey, it is 1 minute till the end of the show. And with that, I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll do this again. I'm going to aim for 10 o'clock tomorrow, but we'll see how that goes. Because I'm on location, I don't know what their schedule is. It might be another 11 o'clock one. but I will do whatever I can do to be here for you and answer your traffic and police questions. Obviously, Friday will be a regular day back in the studio, and I'm looking forward to that, just because this is a much less comfortable chair. All right. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Sorry that I didn't get to all the questions. I know there's some that are still in queue, but yeah, I got to go. And they just served lunch. They made an hour's worth of noise just so I could go have a bite to eat. And it smells good. Have a good day.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail, not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Have a fantastic day in Vehicle Valley. What's going on? Thanks to Tracy and Emma, if you're there. Thanks to Mrs. Shapp. Catch you tomorrow.